Hello, my amazing second grade artists. We're going to be starting something new today. We're going to be creating these impressionistic paintings that are inspired by an artist named Claude Monet. So I have a video that I want the teachers to show. I've got it written down in your lesson plans, teachers. It's called Claude Monet Inventing Impressionism. It's a really sweet video of a little girl that goes through and tells the students all about Impressionism and shows them some examples. It's really fun to watch. So I think your students will like that and learn a lot about this. And so we're going to be creating this water lily garden, so with a bridge. And in the video, you saw where Claude Monet had a bridge at his garden. And so that's what we're creating. We're going to be creating the bridge and the water lilies. That's what these are, with the lily pads and then this beautiful water. And so see how all of the watercolor kind of mixes together, and it looks like reflections. It looks like how Claude Monet painted in the style of Impressionism. We're going to be talking about the background, middle ground, and foreground. So the background is the very back thing in a painting. So that would be the water. That's our background. Our middle ground are the things that are in the middle. So like the bridge and the lily pads. And then the foreground is what is in the very, very front. And that would be the lily pads at the front and this grass down here that kind of overlaps everything. So to start, we're going to draw our bridge. So everybody's going to get a piece of 9x12 watercolor paper. I want you to turn it this direction vertically, the long side going up and down. And it's very important to do that, and go ahead and put your name label on the back. So to start with, teachers, you're going to be using the chunky oil pastels with your students. They're easier for them to grip. And our bridge is going to be green. Oh, did you hear that thunder? My goodness. I'm making this on a rainy day here. All right, so we're going to use, I'm starting out with this middle shade of green. You can do whatever shade of green you want to start with. And we're going to use our finger and try to find about the middle of your page. Can you try to find the middle of your page and put your finger on it? Then use the finger that you draw with and practice drawing a gentle curving line that goes from one side to the other. It's not a big curving line. It's a gentle curving line, okay? So I'm going to start at one side and I'm going to curve down a little bit like that. And we created a line. I'm going to come down about a finger space. You may want to go 2 because your fingers are smaller than mine. And I'm going to do the same thing. And that's going to be the top of our bridge. And we're going to color it in. So I'm just starting on one side and I'm going to the other. And I'm trying to do a really good job of not scrabbling. I can turn my paper if I need to get to it easier, and I'm coloring this in. Take your time and do a good job, because I pick my very favorite ones and I put them in the art show. So really work hard so yours can be in the art show. So now that's the top of the bridge. I'm going to make the bottom of the bridge, and I'm going to put about 2 fingers. You might need 3. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make one curving line, and then under it, another curving line. And then I'm going to color them in. I'm going to turn my paper so it's easier for me to go in that direction. It's okay to turn your paper as you go. And I'm coloring that in. Okay, that's the top and the bottom of the bridge. Now we have to make the rungs on the bridge. These are the lines that go up and down that keep you from falling through the bridge. So we're going to start on the left side and make some lines that go up and down. They're not too fat. I made 2 and then I colored in between them. Don't make your rungs too close together. About 2 or 3 fingers space between them. Teachers, you can slow this video down and pause it. Show the students how they can use their fingers to measure. And I'm just going to quickly go out and finish my rungs, but you may need to really slow this down for them. All right, so that's our bridge using just one shade of green. But Claude Monet, he really liked to see how the light reflected on surfaces, and so he used lots of colors. So now I'm going to take a lime green oil pastel, and I'm over here cleaning it off with my paper towel because it had a lot of teal on it. And I'm going to go towards the top, just over what I've already colored, and blend some lime green in. And it'll kind of look like there's a reflection on the bridge. And I'm going to do that at the top of the bottom of my bridge. And it's making my camera shake a little bit because I'm coloring, but that's okay. Then I'm going to take this teal color, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm doing it on the bottom, and it almost makes it look like there's a shadow on the bridge. I'm just blending over some of the green I colored. Not all of it, just a little. Doing the same thing down here. Slow the video down, teachers, if you need to. Walk around and see if the students are getting this. Now, lots of little crumb things come up, so I'm going to take my paper over to the side. You can't see, but I'm shaking them off because I don't want to smear those on my paper. The next step is to add some shadows with our black. So teachers, you may want to really work with the students one at a time for this so they don't just start really going crazy with the black. We just want a little bit. And you're going to show them how to go underneath the left side and make these upside down L's. We're not going all the way across. You're just making upside down L's, and it's going to look like little shadows. Try to make sure they're not sticking their hand in what they've already colored because it will smear, but their hands will get messy, and let them use baby wipes to clean up. And then we're gonna, at the very bottom, we're gonna make a line. And see, I kind of go back and forth so it's good and dark, but it's really just one skinny line. It's not a super fat line. I just want it to be dark, so that's why I'm going back and forth. So now we have our bridge with a shadow. Okay, the next step is going to be, I'm going to shake it off over here. The next step is to draw our lily pads. And lily pads are just like an oval shape. An oval's kind of a stretched out circle. So this is our foreground, the part that's closest. So those lily pads are going to be bigger, and they're going to get smaller as they go back. So I'm going to start drawing some oval shapes, some lily pads. And they're sort of big. They're not too big. Some can kind of touch one another like those did. But as we get further back, they get smaller. Because when we look outside, don't things that aren't things that are far off in the distance, don't they look smaller to you? So as we get here, see those ovals are smaller than the other ones. And just make them all over. Make some touch. Like they're grouped up in these little clusters. Some can overlap. Okay. Now I'm going to go in and color them. And I have different shades of green, so I'm not going to make them all the same. I'm going to go in with this light green on some of these, and I'm just going to color them in. But I'm not going to do all of them the same shade of green. Because when we look outside, when we look at plants, you see lots of different greens. Everything's not just the same green. You have lots of different shades and values of green. I have to be careful to not put my hand in what I've already colored so I can turn my paper. Because if you put your hand in what you've already colored, you're going to smear it and it'll get all over your hand. So turn your paper a lot. All right, this is an even lighter lime green. I'm going to go in. They don't have to color these perfect. It'll give the look of impressionism, actually, if they don't do them perfect. This is the one time they don't have to really be perfect with it. Or super neat, I should say. We don't ever have to be perfect. And then I'm going to go in with this darker green, because I like to have lots of shades of green. And I'm going to turn my page because I don't want to get my finger in what I've already done. Okay, I'm going to shake it off over here. Now it's time to draw the lilies. So these are lily pads and the flowers are the lilies. So on mine I have some blue and yellow and pink ones. You can decide what colors you want your lilies to be. I'm going to start with pink. So I'm going to make our lilies, we make a hump, a bigger hump, and then another regular one. So the one in the middle is a little bigger. So I'm going to go around and make some that are pink. And you don't have to put a lily on every lily pad. Not every lily pad has a lily on it. So you can decide which ones you want to do. So I'm going to outline them that way, and then I'm going to go inside and color them a little bit lighter pink. But you don't have to use pink. You can use whatever colors you want. Just going inside and coloring my lilies. Okay, I don't want to stick my hand in everything I've drawn, so I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to color from this side. I think I want some orange and yellow lilies now. So I'm going to do my humps. Let me make one over here. Remember, oh, I think I need a little one right there. Remember how things get smaller as they're farther away, so make sure you're doing that. These should be a little smaller than the ones in the front or the foreground. And now I'm going to color these in with my yellow. Just remember to have them clean the oil pastels off as they get dirty. And I'm going to turn my paper so I'm not smearing everything on my hands. Color those. Okay, it's almost time to start painting. That's really fun. All right, so there's that. The next step will be to paint it. So teachers, you'll need to have a center set up for this, so you're only letting a few kids do it at a time. And I've got, these are just like the watercolors you had laid out for your first graders, but this time we're just using the cool colors. So I'm just keeping in there the lime green, the blue, and the magenta that I had, and then you don't have to reuse, but only let them use that. So the first step, and make sure you have a clean thing of water and some paper towels, the first step is to wet our paper because we really want that color to run and give us that impressionistic look. So let them wet a sponge and just kind of go on here and dab it. I wouldn't let them drag it too much because it'll pull that oil pastel. Just let them kind of dab it on there and get their paper wet. No, doesn't need to have puddles. And if they get too much, like I just got a little too much right there, I'm going to just take my paper towel and dab it up a little bit. You just want it damp, okay? Now I'm going to go in with my brush, and I'm going to start with some blue because this is a lot of water. So I'm just going to go in and kind of start touching and kind of very gently painting with my brush some blue. I'm going to dip it in there again, just in different areas. Leave some white because you'll be adding other colors in a minute. And the water that you have added to the paper really will make it start running, but that's when the pretty stuff starts to happen. We're not going to use a whole lot of magenta because the magenta is really strong and it will mix kind of funny with the green. So let's go into our green next. So I've just got this lime green that I was using on that other project. And I'm going to just kind of go in with it in some of these places, and it will help create like a teal color where it mixes with the blue. And you're probably getting a lot of color puddling up. That's okay because in a minute I'm going to show you what we're going to do to that. Just kind of going in different places. If your brush starts to get too dirty, make them wash it because it will contaminate all your colors. Then I'm going to rinse my brush, and I'm going to add just a few little places of magenta. Like I said, the magenta mainly in the blue because it will kind of do funny with the green. Doesn't really mix well with green. So you may just want to keep that in some places where you've got mainly the blue. Now right now this is looking like just a puddle of color. and difficult to move. And sometimes we just let something kind of dry and sit there for a little while. But what we're going to do with this, and teachers, you can help with this, is we're just going to gently take a paper towel that's kind of balled up and just kind of gently go in and blot some of that up. And that will also give some texture and help create that impressionistic look. I'm really gently doing this, and I'm changing. See, the paper towel will start to get kind of gray or muddy looking. So I'm kind of turning the paper towel as I go. You may want to help with this because you don't want them to make all their color mixed together. And that kind of just softens everything. I still have a few puddles, but if you put it on your drying rack, it will dry. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to show you one that I have that's more dry. So this is one that I have that's dried, and you see how I've kind of blotted it and it's softened up the color. And so remember in the finished one, I had some grass that came up in the foreground down here. I've went in and got my 3 vegetation colors out of my Crayola markers. I've got a teal, a lime green, and a regular green. And you're just going to let the students come in and start at the bottom, and they just make some lines that are like grass with these colors. Show them how to really quickly create these lines that go in different directions. You have to wait until the paper is good and dry though. And then we just keep going over them with different colors and they overlap. And that makes it look like just at the bottom, you've got a little grassy area that's coming up. Lastly, I'm going to take my lime green and do a few more. They just kind of cross over each other. They'll just do these really quick lines, and that's a really fast step. And that just gives a little finishing touch on our Monet water lily garden. Okay, I cannot wait to see what these look like. Really work hard and take your time, and I'll put them on Artsonia, and then I'm going to pick some to go in the art show. So really, really try to work hard and do a good job so you can have something in the art show or on Artsonia. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.